a couple of years ago, we were talking about gold, and I think gold might have been at like, I don't know, $1,200 an ounce or something like that, or whatever it was. It was a couple of years ago. And I remember we started to really push it, and we were projecting that it was going to grow quite a bit. And damned if it didn't. And I can tell you for a person that never got involved in purchasing of precious metals, I studied Andrew, and as we got to know each other, and people can go to bh-pm.com, but I'm telling you, Beverly Hills Precious Metals, in the small investment that my family made in gold, it has more than doubled in just a very short period of time. And so that actually, from a family perspective, for a family that suffered through the pain of being persecuted, that purchase has enabled us to be able to get to a place where we feel much more comfortable for our financial future, our financial security in the future. So, Andrew, on behalf of my family personally, thanks for being part of my life, because it really has helped. And I think that people that are crazy to not, even as expensive as it seems to be, gold is going to go up again, because the price of oil is going to fluctuate. The wars are going to fluctuate. When things change, they're going to change for the better. And because they always do, maybe not in the short term, but in the long term. And gold and silver are always going to be the commodity that are going to balance really how nations and how nation states do business with each other. So, smart to buy some. Cryptocurrency equals control. Gold equals security. Gold equals financial security. And it's just like Tucker said, people are very private about it because somebody says, hey, have you ever invested in gold? Yeah, I invested a little bit. I dabble here and there. But you don't want to tell people exactly what you're doing.
I would say one more thing about gold that I find fascinating is that it is the most private of all currencies. So the great lie of my lifetime is that crypto was going to be private and was going to free us from surveillance and control. And that is just not proven true. And no one's really tried hard to make it true, which tells you a lot about how much people lie and what the real agenda is, which is control. But gold can actually be moved around privately and stored privately. I mean, there's not a digital record of gold.
Global central banks on net in 2014 stopped growing their holdings of treasury bonds. So global central banks have not bought a treasury bond on net. In fact, they've sold about $300 billion worth.
U.S. Treasuries.
U.S. Treasuries since 2014. In their, they're called FX reserves, which is basically their piggy bank. And they've bought about $600 billion worth of gold.
That doesn't, that doesn't make any sense at all. In an era of biotech and nanotechnology and AI and, everything is abstract and digital. Everything is technology.
Gold is the second largest reserve currencies. I think if people were to make those who are running policies and so on were to say, they would say gold is the safest money in this kind of an environment.
Still the safest.
Yeah, it doesn't change by the day. Gold is up about 65% from a year ago, and down about 16% from its high. And I think people make the mistake of thinking, is it going to go up and down, and should I buy it? And instead, not whether it's individuals, but even more importantly, perhaps central banks or governments or sovereign wealth funds should say, what percentage of my financial assets, what percentage of my portfolio should I have in gold?
Cryptocurrency equals control. Gold equals security. Gold equals financial security. People are very private about it because somebody says, hey, have you ever invested in gold? Yeah, I invested a little bit. I dabble here and there. But you don't want to tell people exactly what you're doing.
Hello, everyone. Amanda Grace here. If you are interested in gold and silver, if you think investing in gold and silver is right for you, if you would like to roll over a retirement account into a gold-backed IRA, Andrew Sorchini of Beverly Hills Precious Metals and his team would be happy to speak with you, whether you have questions about gold and silver, whether you've never invested before and you are curious about how to get started, or whether you would like to increase your investments.
My name is General Mike Flynn, and I want everyone to know that I stand fully behind Beverly Hills Precious Metals and its owner, Andrew Sorchini, a great friend of mine. We are facing one of the greatest periods of financial uncertainty in American history. And now is the time to organize your finances, seriously consider how you can take care of yourself and your family, and start making some serious decisions.
Hey, Peter Navarro here with the Taking Back Trump's America podcast and Substack. Great to have Andrew Sorchini, the CEO and founder of Beverly Hills Precious Metals, who I'm proud to have as a sponsor of this podcast and Substack. And what I thought we'd do today is talk with Andrew about what he does and how he might be able to help you, to kind of give you a comfort level about his enterprise. So I want to welcome Andrew. How you doing today, Andrew?
I'm doing great, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So let's start off with, tell us a little bit, you have kind of a unique story. You started out in this business of precious metals at an early age. Tell us a little bit about how you grew up and got attracted to this line of what has become your passion as well as your work, sir.
Well, it started when I was about 12, 13 years old. My parents moved to a property that was across the street from a shopping mall. And back in the early 80s, back then, all us young people used to like to play video games. So I would hop over the back wall, go to the shopping mall, play video games. When I ran out of money, I'd go hang out in the coin shop for a couple hours and watch them transact in gold and silver. And eventually, they started offering me little jobs saying, hey, can you sort through these coins? Or could you go pick up lunch? Here's a few bucks, get something for yourself. And when I was 15 years old, they brought me on as an employee. And I worked there for 9 years after that. And I never left the business. Been doing it ever since then.
And what is the nature of the business? I'm an economist, not a financial advisor. I'm not giving people financial advice when we do these podcasts and Substack. But what I am is an economist. And what I know as an economist is that gold, silver, and precious metals generally provide a hedge against inflation, because inflation tends to erode the value of paper money. So tell the folks out here in Trump's country what exactly you do. What is the nature of your business model?
Okay, so what I tend to do these days is educate people on how gold and silver could be a great hedge for your portfolio. And it all goes back to my very first job when I was a kid, working in that coin shop. I asked the boss there, I said, why do people always come in and buy so many of those gold coins? And I remember one guy brought a stack of them back with dirt all over them. And I asked him, how come there's dirt all over those? And he goes, well, Andrew, he buried those in his backyard. And I said, well, why wouldn't he keep it in the bank? He says, people don't trust the banks. And I go, why? And he said, a lot of bad things can happen. He didn't really break it down. But now in 2023, we see inflation.
Inflation.
When demand is greater than supply, either you get shortages or you get price increases. And actually what we had was a mixture of both.
We are in an inflationary spiral.
66% of people polled expect inflation to get worse.
The value of the dollar since I was born has declined by 94% to 6 cents.
We see that our dollar is buying less than it did a year ago. And we're not compensated for that. Like our what we make in our jobs and how we earn money typically is not going up fast enough to make what you're losing in depreciation of the dollar.
The dollar is facing a revolt. The world knows it as the king of currencies, but the dominance of the dollar is now under threat. More and more countries are looking for alternatives, and China's yuan is emerging as a clear challenger.
The hedge is to buy precious metals, specifically gold, because over time, gold always goes up. Not in the short term, but long term, it's always up.
And technically, when you talk about the word hedge, as an economist, I can tell our viewers and listeners that what that means is that there's a risk out there that you want to provide a counterbalance against. And we know that economies are prone to inflation, and we know that gold, silver, and precious metals can help hedge against that because as solid money, as commodity money, they tend to hold their value better than paper money. Now, you actually sell the real deal. You're not giving out certificates or selling stocks and gold shares or anything like that. What do you actually sell and how do you deliver it to people?
So the way that that works is typically people will reach out to us through our website, which we can get into that part a little bit later. But once they submit a consultation request, then we will know at that point that we need to contact them, and we ask them what their goals for owning precious metals are. For some people, there might be someone that just sold a home. Maybe it was an extra home that they had, and they just sold it, and they don't want to put a few $100,000 in the bank. They'd rather put it into gold and let it just sit in a safe at their home or office or even in a depository of our choosing. Once they submit this information, we will call them and explain to them all of the different options. This isn't a high pressure deal. We're never going to tell you that you have to do this today or it's not going to be here tomorrow. Gold and silver have been around for thousands of years. They'll be here later. It's just a matter of will you get the type that you're looking for and how long will it take. But we do send people the physical gold and silver. And that is important. You touch on a great point because there are certificates out there that people are investing into for gold and silver, and those are oversold many times over. So in other words, it's like a legalized Bernie Madoff where if everyone sold on the same day, you couldn't be liquid.
Now I am, I mean, it's like if I'm ordering $100,000 of gold to put in my IRA instead of whatever stocks I might hold, that would make me nervous having that around the house. How do people handle that kind of risk?
Okay, so that's how a big bulk of the transactions we do work. I would say about 60% of the people that reach out to us are rolling over an existing 401k or an IRA into one that holds gold and silver, and it is physical gold and silver. But one rule of that type of transaction is that we cannot send it to your home. It's held in a third-party depository in Delaware, and you receive regular statements. So there's actually 3 entities involved. There's a custodian. So first of all, you might have a 401k with Fidelity. Well, Fidelity would then transfer funds to the custodian that we use, and then we're the broker. So then once the funds transfer over, then we use those funds to purchase gold and silver. Then they have to be stored at the depository, and that's a third entity. Together, that's how you're protected, and it's insured at the depository.
And you have like full insurance at the depository no matter how much is there. It's not like the FDIC only insures up to $250,000. There's full insurance. Is that what I'm hearing here?
I've never heard anyone ask that, and everyone should be asking that. It's I'm actually going to add that into what I talk about when I discuss retirement accounts, because nowadays for people that might be working with 7 figures, you have to spread out over a few different accounts to be covered under FDIC if those funds are really even there. So you're safe with the IRA. It's fully insured.
And if I have to liquidate some or all of my gold, silver, or precious metals, I come back to you?
Yes. The way that works is the bulk of our inventory is stored at the same depository as where the IRA metals are being held at. So it makes the fulfillment and the liquidation process work very fluid. So the way that it would work is, and this happens every week. So someone will call me and say, Andrew, I need $10,000 out of my retirement account. I say, great. I'll go ahead and send you a distribution form, and you fill that out, send it back to me. I'll send you an invoice to sign, and that's a purchase invoice. And as soon as we get the signed documents back and the metals transfer from your depository account into mine, then I wire the funds to the IRA custodian, and then they go and send them to you. It's a very simple process. It can take a week.
Now, one of the things that fascinated me when you and I first had a conversation about this, because of course I carefully vet all my sponsors, you made the observation that people tend to buy silver more than gold, and I was kind of surprised by that. Why what is, in terms of the amounts of gold versus silver you sell, what's roughly the percentage out of the total, and why is silver sometimes more preferred?
Well, I think 80% of our transactions are silver, but dollar-wise, I think we're selling more gold than silver. But people like silver because it has a better chance to double and triple in price than gold does. And the reason that we would actually have more dollars sold in gold, even though gold is only selling at 20% of the rate that silver is that silver is a lot cheaper. But people all tend to agree that silver can double or triple in the blink of an eye. But gold is the one that's really just solid, always going up, up, up. Silver is volatile. It's actually being manipulated by some of the big banks, like even J.P. Morgan Chase.
The gold or silver, let's say, that comes, it can either be in bars or coins. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm excited about is that you and I are working together. You're going to do a Make America Great coin that's going to have my picture on it that's going to be available. Can you talk a little bit about that process and when that might be available?
Sure. So we're currently arranging to have that coin produced. There's still a big backlog in coinage being made from the shutdowns of COVID. So there was a huge backlog and a big run on the available gold and silver. So with this, we could still be a couple of months away, but it's going to be a 1 ounce silver coin. It'll be IRA acceptable, which is really important because IRA acceptable meets certain COMEX guidelines, which we're above of what's acceptable for IRAs.
And let me just stop you there quickly, because when you say IRA acceptable, that means your investment retirement account. That's the IRA, and then the COMEX. What is that standard? Is that a federal standard?
That's the exchange of what some of the commodities trade on, and
I see. Okay.
So the IRA custodians need for the gold and silver to really have a certain level of purity, or they won't accept them. For example, a Krugerrand, a gold Krugerrand only has it's only like 0.987 purity. That cannot be in an IRA, even though that's a world recognized gold coin.
That's fascinating, because the Krugerrand kind of cornered the market on name recognition, but you're saying that's not as pure as it needs to be for your retirement accounts. That's fascinating.
Exactly. Your silver coin will get in, and the Krugerrand is out.
To be clear, if you want to go to your site, let me get it and see if I get this right. Your company's called Beverly Hills Precious Metals. So the website people can go to is bh-pm.com, bh-pm.com. And what you can do there is you can go to the site and sign up for a free consultation. Please, when you do that, and they ask you who referred you, just put in Peter Navarro or Navarro, and Andrew will give you what I call the Royal MAGA treatment. He'll take really good care of you. So that's bh-pm.com. The promo code for the consultation is Navarro. And let's finish this up just by maybe simulating the process. As I understand it, people will go in and sign up for a free consultation, no pressure, free consultation. And then what happens to that information down the line? Walk me through that process, please.
Sure. So someone will go on our website and you just put in your first name, last name, email address, phone number, and just a couple sentences about what you're trying to accomplish. And you could start off by saying, I'm a newbie, I've never invested in gold or silver, please contact me. So I'm seeing these submissions come in all day long. I send them to my sales team, and we've got 14 different reps that one of them will call you. They'll ask you what you're trying to accomplish specifically. Some people are trying to invest funds that they plan to use in the near future for other investments. So with those, we will handle those differently than, say, a long-term investment. If you say, this is my retirement, and I don't think I'm going to retire for 20 years, then we will set it up differently for you. But the most information that you can give me, the better we can help.
And if it's a short-term investment, how do you handle it differently? I understand with the IRAs, you go into the depository. What do you do if it's just kind of a shorter-term investment where people might need it 3 months, 6 months, or whenever?
Sure. So I had a lady the other day or a while back that said, I want to do 100,000 in silver. And I said, okay, how quickly will you need these funds? She said 6 months at the most, probably a lot sooner. And I said, oh no, don't do the silver. And she said, why? I said, silver has 20% swings. You could end up selling it back to me for 20% more than you bought it for, but likely you will be selling it back for 20% less than what you paid for.
Yeah.
And she said, well, then are you saying silver's not good? I go, no, it's just silver's a long-term hold, 2 to 5 years minimum. She goes, then are you saying I should do gold? And I said, absolutely. She goes, will I make any money on gold? I go, probably not. And she goes, well, then why would that be good in the short term? And I told her physical gold and silver is not meant to be something that could generate a profit in the short term. It's more of a way to preserve your wealth. And that's what she wanted. She wanted to get it out of the bank until she could put that with other money to go into a real estate deal. And I insisted she do the gold. And she said she wasn't going to sell it in less than 6 months. And let me tell you, she did sell in less than 6 months. Had she done the silver, she would have lost like 20%, just like I told her she would.
Yeah.
And with the gold, she just broke even. And that's fine.
You know, I'm so glad you made that point. I'm so glad you made that point because it's total transparency. It's gold and silver are a hedge against inflation primarily. They're not these speculative instruments where you're swinging for the fences and expecting to get rich quick. So I'm really glad you pointed that out because I think that's what's the important part. The people that are going to be most interested in this are going to be people who want to preserve their wealth in an inflationary time, and that's exactly what we have. And as an economist, when I'm looking in the crystal ball, it looks like that's going to go on for a very long time. But look, Andrew, I think you've done a great job. I want to thank you for being on the Taking Back Trump's America podcast and Substack. Please, if you're interested in this, go to bh-pm.com. That's Beverly Hills Precious Metals, bh-pm.com. Tell them Peter Navarro sent you. You get your free consultation. And then what happens then is up to you and you alone. Peter Navarro, out.
When people go to bh-pm.com, they can schedule a free consultation. You're talking about going from the intangible into the tangible.
If you can't hold it in your hand, then it's not yours. You don't own it. You can physically hold actual gold and silver. It ships fully insured directly to your home.
Inflation rates are going to continue to rise. Don't wait. Don't keep putting off decisions that you know you must make.